97% of men over 50 miss the exact moment a woman begins to flirt with them. This happens not because they are blind, slow, or out of touch, but because the signals are no longer what they were decades ago. She is not going to grab your arm and giggle like a teenager. She is not going to look at you and say, "I like you," or boldly invite you out for drinks. Instead, she will ask a question, a soft question, a casual question, one that sounds harmless on the surface, but quietly opens a door. If you do not step through that door, it closes just as quietly as it opened. That is how these moments slip away. You walk off thinking it was just a pleasant conversation. She walks away thinking, "Well, I guess he is not interested." You did not say anything wrong. You simply did not say the right thing because you did not realize what she was truly asking. This is what this video is about. These moments, these quiet questions that do not sound romantic at all, show up as sideways glances, offhand remarks, and curious little probes women use when they want to test the waters without diving in first. Over the next few minutes, I am going to walk you through 8 subtle questions women ask when they are interested, but too careful, too respectful, or too uncertain to say it directly. You will understand what she is really asking, why it matters, and how to answer in a way that shows you are still in the game, not chasing, not desperate, just present, grounded, and fully yourself. Because here is the truth. After 50, most men do not need to try harder. They just need to notice more. Once you do, you will start to see interest where you once only saw politeness. You will notice warmth where you assumed there was just small talk, and real adult attraction where you once believed you were invisible. The first question sounds innocent, but it is one of the biggest tests she will ever put in front of you. How old are you really? It sounds playful, almost lighthearted, but when a woman looks you in the eye and asks that, adding that small word "really," she is not asking for a number. She is asking for something much deeper. She already knows you are not 30. She is not playing a guessing game for fun. What she is doing is checking how comfortable you are in your own skin. She wants to know if you carry your age like a heavy burden or like a quiet badge of honor. The way you respond tells her everything she needs to know. If you flinch, dodge the question, or turn it into a joke about getting old, she may smile, maybe even laugh, but inside the energy shifts. What she is looking for is not youth. It is presence, confidence, and a sense that you are still fully alive in your own life, not apologizing for the years you have lived. The men who stand out at this stage are not the ones trying to look younger. They are the ones who have made peace with their timeline, men who can say without hesitation, "Old enough to know what matters and young enough to still enjoy the ride," or even with a slow grin, "You want my age or my attitude?" I once spoke to a man named Rick. He was 64, divorced, with silver hair and a sharp sense of style. He told me about a conversation he had at a downtown jazz lounge. The woman was maybe late 40s or early 50s, smart, elegant, and clearly engaged. After some easy back and forth, she leaned in and asked, "So, how old are you, really?" Rick thought he was being clever and replied, "Too old for you?" She laughed, but not the way he hoped. He said he felt the spark dim almost immediately. Later that night, it hit him. He did not just dodge the question, he dodged the moment. That is what most men miss. These questions are not interviews, they are invitations. When you answer them with self-doubt or self-mockery, she hears that message clearly. Under the surface, what is really happening is simple. As we age, we carry more history, more scars, and more quiet fears about whether we are still seen. Women feel that energy, and when they ask something like this, they are not curious about your age. They are curious about your aliveness. So the next time a woman asks how old you are, do not reach for the punchline. Do not treat it like a trap. Treat it like a door. Because if she is asking, she is already thinking maybe, and your answer decides whether that door stays open. Another question that catches many men off guard is this: why aren't you married? At first, it can sound personal, even a little judgmental. But when a woman asks this with a gentle tone and genuine curiosity, it is not an interrogation. It is interest wrapped in caution. She is not digging into your past just to hear stories. What she is really asking is, are you emotionally available now? Is there room in your life for someone like me? This is where many good men stumble. Some launch into their entire romantic history, talking about divorce, heartbreak, and disappointment. Others get defensive and brush it off with a bitter laugh, saying things like, marriage, tried it once, never again. Both responses do the same thing. They quietly close the window she just opened. She is not looking for a full explanation. She is listening to how you carry the answer, whether you are at peace with your past or still dragging it behind you like luggage you never unpacked. A better response is simple, steady, and honest without being heavy, such as, life kept me busy, but I have space now for something real, or I just haven't met the right woman yet. Maybe until now. I remember a man named Gerald. He was 67, quiet, worked with his hands, and had been widowed young. He told me about a woman he met at a community garden. They started talking about tomatoes of all things. After a while, she smiled and asked him, "So, how come a man like you isn't married?" He froze and gave a stiff answer about how things did not work out, then quickly changed the subject. A week later, she stopped coming to the garden. Later, he said, "I didn't realize she was asking because she was thinking about us. I thought she was just being polite." That is the pattern. These moments do not announce themselves. They arrive quietly, disguised as casual questions that seem harmless until you understand them after she is gone. Psychologically, this is powerful. She is feeling something but does not want to risk being vulnerable unless you show her it is safe. If your answer sounds bitter or closed, she steps back. If it sounds calm, open, and lightly warm, like a man who has done the work and is ready for something new, it tells her everything she needs to know. So, when someone asks why you are not married, do not give her a reason to regret asking. Give her a reason to wonder what could come next. Another question that often shows up is this: do you date younger women? This question throws many men off balance. Some hear it as a compliment, others treat it like a trap. But when a woman asks this, she is not asking about your dating record. She is quietly checking your openness. She is asking, could you see someone like me as more than just a friend? Most of the time, she is not looking for a simple yes or no. She is listening for whether you make her feel seen, respected, and not compared to some imaginary group of younger women. She wants to know if the connection happening right now matters more to you than a number on a calendar. Where men mess this up is predictable. Some puff up and brag about younger dates as if they are trying to prove something. Others shut it down by saying, "I'm way too old for you," cutting off the possibility before she even finishes the thought. Both responses miss the point because what she is really asking is, do I have a chance? A better answer keeps the focus on connection, not age. Something like, I don't date by age, I date by energy and how we connect. Or, I care more about how a woman makes me feel than when she was born. I knew a man named Marcus. He was 59, well-dressed, with a quick wit. He met a woman at his favorite bookstore. She was in her mid-40s, bright-eyed, and asked him for a recommendation. They talked, laughed, and grabbed coffee nearby. Then she leaned back and asked, "Do you usually date younger women?" He paused, smiled, and said, "I like women who bring good energy. Younger or older doesn't matter much to me. What matters is that we click." She smiled, not politely, but with interest. That conversation led to dinner, and dinner turned into something more. That is the power of presence, not fumbling when the question is not really about what it sounds like. Because when a woman asks this, it is often about permission. She wants to explore the possibility without putting herself too far out there. She wants to know you will meet her halfway and not make her feel foolish for asking. At this stage of life, attraction is not about clever lines or games. It is about responding with clarity, kindness, and just enough spark to keep the door open. And when she asks if you date younger women, that door is already cracked right in front of you. The real question is this: do you step through it or do you let it quietly slip away? This may sound casual, almost like small talk, but when a woman asks, "What kind of woman do you usually go for?" she is not just being curious. She is comparing, weighing, and checking to see if she fits the picture you carry in your mind. This is not about building a checklist. It is about seeing whether she has a chance to be that woman. Here is the mistake many men make. They take the question too literally and start listing traits. Someone athletic, adventurous, tall, brunette, likes golf, enjoys travel, like they are reading an order off a menu. What they fail to understand is that in that moment, she is watching very closely. She is listening not only to the words you choose, but to what your answer reveals about how you view women. She wants to know if you are stuck chasing an image or if you are open to a real connection. She wants to know if you have grown or if you are still chasing an ideal that stopped making sense years ago. The better move is to speak about qualities that matter, qualities that could easily live inside the woman sitting across from you. Try something like, I like women who are thoughtful, curious, and able to laugh even when the day is hard. Notice how those traits are things she can already recognize in herself if she feels drawn to you. And if she is asking the question at all, there is a good chance she already hopes she fits your answer. I once spoke with a man named Elliot, 62, a retired firefighter. He met a woman through a volunteer project. They connected easily without effort or pressure. One afternoon, while painting a fence side by side, she asked him, "So what kind of woman do you usually go for?" Without overthinking it, he said, "I guess I like someone calm, someone who makes a place feel peaceful just by being there." She did not say anything right away, but later that day, she stayed behind to help clean up. When he thanked her, she smiled and said, "I was hoping I was your type." That is the beauty of moments like this. When you answer with presence instead of performance, you create space for attraction to grow naturally. From a psychological point of view, this question is a form of self-selection. She is gathering small clues to decide whether she should lean in or pull back. The way you answer can either confirm her interest or quietly shut the door. So the next time a woman asks what kind of woman you usually go for, do not describe a fantasy. Describe the kind of connection you want to build, because chances are she is not asking as a friend. When a woman asks, "Are you always this charming?" it usually comes with a smile, maybe even a soft laugh. It sounds like a compliment, but it carries more weight than most men realize. She is doing two things at once. She is acknowledging the spark she feels, and she is testing how you will handle it. This is one of those rare moments when attraction rises right to the surface, gentle but clear. The compliment is genuine, but the question beneath it matters even more. What she is really asking is whether you can stay present without dropping the moment, and whether you can accept warmth without hiding behind humor. Many men pull back right here. They brush it off, deflect, or make a joke like, "Only on Tuesdays," or "Guess I'm having a good day." And just like that, the spark fades. A better response stays light but grounded, something like, "Only when I'm around someone who brings it out in me," or "I save it for moments that matter." When you respond this way, your tone says, "I'm here, I see you, I'm not afraid of this moment." That makes her feel safe enough to stay in it with you. Alan, 68, a quiet widower, once told me about a dinner party where a woman leaned in and asked, "Are you always this charming, or is it just tonight?" He smiled and said, "That depends. Are you always this curious, or am I just lucky?" He said she held his gaze a little longer after that with a look that said, "Now we're getting somewhere." This question is not really about charm. It is about chemistry. She is offering an opening to move from friendly into something deeper without pressure. Psychologically, this is a gentle way women show interest. Your role is not to impress. It is simply to receive the moment without shrinking away from it. When a woman asks, "Why don't you have a girlfriend?" it may sound simple, but it carries real meaning. She is no longer just talking. She is wondering if there is room in your life for someone like her. She is not asking about your schedule. She is asking if you are emotionally open. Many men answer this question in ways that sound closed without realizing it. They say things like, "I'm set in my ways," or "I like my freedom," or "Relationships are too much trouble now." And the door quietly closes. She is not just asking if you are single, she is asking if you are available. The best answer leaves space for possibility. You might say, "I've been waiting for something that feels real," or "I took my time, but I'm still open to being surprised. William, 71, calm and confident, was once asked this at an art gallery. He replied, I spent time learning how to be a better man. Now I'm ready for a better kind of love. He said her eyes never left his after that. Women later in life are just as afraid of rejection as men. Instead of stating their feelings directly, they ask questions like this, brave questions disguised as curiosity. How you answer tells her whether it is safe to go deeper or safer to pull away. And then there is the question, would you ever date someone like me? This is the closest thing to a confession. She is not fishing for praise. She is placing herself in front of you. Even if she smiles, there is vulnerability underneath. Many men freeze here. They go neutral. They change the subject. And she pulls back, feeling exposed. The best answer is not clever. It is honest. I'd be lucky to. Then stop talking. Charlie, 66, former military, once told me about a walk at sunset when a woman asked him this. He paused and said, Yes, I already am in my mind. She took his hand and did not let go. These questions are not casual. They are openings, quiet doors being unlocked. The real question is never what she asks. The real question is whether you choose to step forward when the moment arrives. As the conversation deepens, you might encounter a question that feels a bit more pointed. What are you actually looking for at this stage? On the surface, it sounds like she is asking for a 5-year plan or a list of relationship goals. But underneath the words, she is gauging your intentionality. She wants to know if you are drifting through life or if you are moving with purpose. Many men over 50 make the mistake of being too vague here, saying things like, I'm just seeing where things go, or I'm keeping my options open. While you might think this sounds relaxed, she often hears it as a lack of readiness. To her, it suggests you aren't prepared to recognize a good thing, even if it's standing right in front of you. A more grounded approach is to speak about the quality of the connection rather than the label of the relationship. You might say, I'm looking for someone who makes the good days better and the hard days easier to handle, or I'm at a point where I value genuine company over everything else. By answering this way, you aren't overcommitting to a stranger, but you are signaling that you have the capacity for depth. You are telling her that you aren't just killing time, but you are open to something meaningful if the chemistry is right. Another common probe is when she asks, do you spend a lot of time alone? This is a fascinating question because it's rarely about your social calendar. She is trying to sense your level of independence versus your level of loneliness. There is a massive difference between a man who is comfortable in his own company and a man who is simply isolated. If you answer by complaining about how quiet the house is or how much you hate eating by yourself, you project a neediness that can be overwhelming. On the other hand, if you brag about being a lone wolf who doesn't need anyone, you signal that there is no room for her to fit in. The sweet spot is showing that you have a full, rich life that you enjoy, but that you are willing to share that space with the right person. A response like, I enjoy my own space and my hobbies, but I've realized that the best experiences are usually the ones you share, is incredibly attractive. It shows you are stable and self-sufficient, which are two of the most sought-after traits in a partner as we get older. Eventually, she might ask something that feels a bit more lighthearted, but is actually a major compatibility check. What's your favorite way to spend a Sunday? This sounds like casual small talk, but she is mentally placing herself into your world. She is wondering if your rhythms match hers. If you say you spend all day watching sports and she loves hiking, she is calculating the friction. However, this isn't an invitation to lie and say you love the outdoors just to please her. It's an invitation to show your passion. When a man talks about what he genuinely loves, whether it's cooking a big breakfast, working on a vintage car, or reading in a coffee shop, his energy changes. That authenticity is what she is actually looking for. She wants to see your eyes light up. Even if your interests don't perfectly align, the fact that you have interests at all is a sign of a life well lived. The final and perhaps most telling question she might ask is, do you think people can really change after 50? This is a deep philosophical door. She isn't asking for a lecture on psychology. She is asking if you are still growing. She is asking if you are stuck in your ways, or if you are still capable of learning, evolving, and being surprised by life. If you say, a leopard doesn't change its spots, you are essentially telling her that you are a finished product, closed off to new perspectives. But if you say, I think we finally have the wisdom to change the things that actually matter, you show her that you are a work in progress. And in the world of adult dating, a man who is still curious and still evolving is the most magnetic man in the room. These questions are the breadcrumbs she leaves on the trail. They aren't meant to trip you up, they are meant to lead you closer. The more you learn to hear the music behind the lyrics, the more you realize that she isn't just talking. She is inviting you to truly see her.